and we're getting them new damn shoes. Because the Vice President of the United States cannot have shitty shoes. Welcome back to the show. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get to it. First topic.
But we can all stand up to ICE if you know your rights.
Zohran Mamdani is now giving illegals advice on how to avoid ICE agents. Roll the clip.
Last weekend, ICE attempted to raid Canal Street and detain our immigrant neighbors. As mayor, I'll protect the rights of every single New Yorker, and that includes the more than 3 million immigrants who call this city their home. But we can all stand up to ICE if you know your rights. If you encounter ICE, these are the things that every New Yorker should know. First, ICE cannot enter into private spaces like your home, school, or a private area of your workplace without a judicial warrant signed by a judge. That looks like this. If ICE does not have a judicial warrant signed by a judge, you have the right to say, "I do not consent to entry," and the right to keep your door closed. Sometimes ICE will show you paperwork that looks like this and tell you that they have the right to arrest you. That is false. ICE is legally allowed to lie to you, but you have the right to remain silent. If you're being detained, you may always ask, "Am I free to go?" repeatedly until they answer you. You are legally allowed to film ICE as long as you do not interfere with an arrest. It is important to remain calm during any interaction with ICE or law enforcement. Do not impede their investigation, resist arrest, or run. One last thing. New Yorkers have a constitutional right to protest, and when I'm mayor, we will protect that right. New York will always welcome immigrants, and I will fight each and every day to protect, support, and celebrate our immigrant brothers and sisters.
Yeah, basically what the guy is doing is he's just going to turn New York City into some sort of paradise for illegals and Muslims, right? So unless you're an illegal or unless you're a Muslim, New York City's really not going to have anything to offer you. Sure, you might get your free bus and you might get your free grocery store for about 2 weeks, maybe even a month before the place gets completely ransacked and then they just say, "Oh yeah, that idea didn't work. We're going away from the free groceries." You might get a free bus until the homeless people start sleeping on the thing, so that might last another 2 weeks to a month as well. So unless you're an illegal or unless you're a Muslim, you're going to get your free bus and your free groceries for about 2 weeks, and that's it. And that's what New York City residents voted for. But all right, let's get to the next topic here.
We got to get you better shoes. So he goes out.
JD Vance told a hilarious story of Trump calling him and Marco Rubio out for their shitty shoes. Roll the clip.
Now, I want to talk about Sly and all his great accomplishments and why we're gathered here to celebrate him. But I want to first say, people often ask me what it's like to be the Vice President of the United States. And a lot of it is exactly what you would expect it to look like if you watched on TV or just paid attention to the media. But sometimes you get these behind-the-scenes moments that I will never, ever forget for the rest of my life. So, for example, today I'm in the Oval Office with the President of the United States and our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and we're talking about something really, really important. And the President kind of holds up his hand and says, no, hold on a second. There's something much more important. Shoes. And he peers over the Resolute desk and he says, "Marco, JD, you guys have shitty shoes. We gotta get you better shoes." So he goes out and grabs a catalog. There happens to be another politician in the room. I won't say who, and you'll find out why in a second. And he actually runs us through this incredible shoe catalog. And by the way, the president is gifting us with 4 pairs of shoes. And I think 4 pairs for Marco. And he's actually asking our size in the middle of this conversation. He's asking for our size so that he can make sure that we get the right shoes. And he asked this other politician, he said, "I'm going to get you some shoes too." And so he says, "Marco, what's your shoe size?" And Marco's apparently an 11.5. He says, "JD, what's your shoe size?" "My shoe size is 13. And he asked this politician, who I won't embarrass, what his shoe size is, and he says 7. President, he kind of leans back in his chair and says, "You can tell a lot about a man by his shoe size." We won't ask the second lady for comment on that particular topic.
Who do you think the politician with the tiny feet is? It may have been Ron DeSantis. There was that scandal type thing where he was pretty much putting lifts in his boots or something because he's short and he doesn't want people to know he's short. But I don't know, maybe it was somebody else. But how hilarious is that Trump had to pause the whole meeting because he had to call out people on their shoes, right? And you have to love how the guy had a catalog ready to go so he could pick out some new shoes for the guy. He probably had it planned for a week of like, yeah, I'm going to call these guys out when they're all in the same room, calling them out on their shitty shoes, and we're getting them new damn shoes. Because the Vice President of the United States cannot have shitty shoes, especially Trump's Vice President. But all right, let's get to the next topic here.
And Donald Trump seems like a gross, bigoted, racist.
Fired CNN host Don Lemon thinks Trump is a POS. Roll the clip.
I think what he said about Somalia, I think that is disqualifying to be a president of the United States. Donald Trump and his family, they're immigrants as well. They were immigrants as well. Most of us are immigrants to this country, except for African Americans, who are the only people who did not come here voluntarily. So, I think that, calling a sitting member of Congress garbage and calling Somalia garbage, it goes back to the whole thing about shithole countries. It's racist. It's vulgar. It's beneath the dignity of the White House. It is sexist. And quite frankly, it's just gross. And Donald Trump seems like a gross, bigoted, racist piece of shit.
Wow. Tell me how you really feel, Don.
I can say that now because that's how I feel. And look, if someone called someone I knew garbage or me garbage, then, hey, I'm giving him the same energy. He goes, I hate to say this. So if he can speak that way, if he can say shithole countries, I can say the same word.
Yeah.
Why can't I do it? And why can't the journalists do it?
Oh, Don. Can we at least get one Democrat rant that is based in reality? I still have yet to see a Democrat rant that's actually based in reality over the last, 4 to 8 years probably. But, I at least do respect Don Lemon a little bit. Ever since he got fired from CNN for, probably just terrible ratings, the guy has actually pivoted quite well to, creating his own content and, putting clips out there that are actually getting some sort of views, whether it's just views like this of us talking about how stupid Don Lemon is, or if it's actually people who might like Don Lemon, which there's very few of those. So it's probably just the clips that are pointing out how stupid Don Lemon is, but at least he's going out there and doing the damn thing. So I'll at least give him some credit there, but come on, Trump's a POS. We all know Don Lemon's much more of a POS than Trump will ever be. But all right, let's get to the next topic here.
Who's they? People, dictators.
The View's Anna Navarro apparently thinks Trump never laughs. Roll the clip.
And so what happens is he has no armory for a comedian humiliating him.
Yes.
If you have to be self-aware. I mean, Obama.
Yeah.
Perfect example of someone who is funny and self-effacing.
Have you noticed that you've never seen Trump laugh?
Right.
I mean, I think that's weird.
Well, if you see him laugh, it's at someone else's expense.
One of his relatives wrote that his dad saw laughter and smiling as weakness.
Because laughing is an emotion, and if he shows his emotions, he'll lose any power that he has over people. That's why they don't laugh, they don't cry.
Who's they?
People, dictators, fascists. They hate. Yeah, they hate that.
Yeah.
Judy, it's so great to have you here.
Yeah. Oh, I love you, Joy.
Thanks to the great Judy Gold, her book.
Come on, that is absolutely absurd. I've seen plenty of clips of Trump laughing. You can't be as funny as Trump is and not laugh. That's basically an oxymoron. And who the hell is this Judy Gold woman? You think she's a good comic? Of course, she goes on The View to sell her book. Like, do you want to listen to a comic that goes on The View to sell their book? Do you think that's the type of comedy that's actually good? She's just probably the type of comic who, all she does is talk about how insufferable she is all the time and how nobody wants anything to do with her or wants to associate with her at all. That's the type of comic that would go on The View. But yeah, to insinuate that Trump never, that is just absolutely absurd. And of course, that's the type of thing you get from The View. But all right, that's it for today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll be seeing you